Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we are talking about the quarterback position. No, we're not talking about Matthew Stafford. I don't buy for a second that he is retiring. I do believe number 9, a.k.a. Glock 9, a.k.a. Soul Snatcher Stafford, will be under center for the Rams in 2025 and maybe even 2026 and 2027. We'll see how things go. But he'll definitely be under center next year. I really believe that. I don't think for a second he's going to retire. He's got way too much football left. You saw some of those throws he made in a blizzard. That tells you all you need to know. Before we dive into it, though, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And in addition to that, just want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Via. And if you're looking for the award-winning THC and THC-free gummies and vapes, THCA flower, soothing topicals, and calming drops, then you have to check out Via. You can use my code JKBogan, and you're going to get 15% off instantly when you use my code JKBogan. Obviously, use it if you're 21 or older, but they are awesome. I've used them quite a bit. Got them last year. They sent them to me, and I really enjoyed them. So definitely recommend it. Via does legally ship to nearly all states in the U.S. in discreet packaging directly to your door without a worry-free. No medical card required, by the way. So be sure to check out Via today. The link is in the description below. Again, JK Bogan will get you 15% off your purchase. All right, guys. So looking at the quarterbacks here, I understand there's going to be a lot of people that want to just draft. There's going to be a lot of people that aren't interested in these names, but I went through the free agency list and I went through just the names that make sense. And that draft class, the one with Trey Lance and Zack Wilson and Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, that one, yeah. That one didn't do so well, which you could say what you will, but regardless, that does mean that there's an opportunity here. And we'll start off here with the current, well, not even current, but was the backup quarterback for the LA Rams, Jimmy Garoppolo, 33 years old. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 334 yards in week 18. We saw he fits the offense. We saw him look really good. And, he had some moments at the end of the game where, maybe he'll definitely have wanted that back. But I was impressed with what I saw with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I am not against bringing him back to be the backup. I am against, however, using him as a bridge quarterback and having it that way. You have Sean McVay. Every single year, you have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl, whether you are the best team or not. And I think this year and the past year in 2023 shows that. As long as they don't get decimated by injuries, Sean McVay is going to give you a chance to win a Super Bowl. They had a shot this year, and I really believe they were 14 yards away from going to the Super Bowl because I do believe they would have beaten Washington, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, point being, Garoppolo, I like for what he is. If he's willing to be a backup, if he's willing to take a lot less money than maybe, say, a higher priority backup or whatever, then okay, fine, $3 to $4 million. But if you're talking about the heir to Stafford's throne, if you're trying to find anything out of any of these guys for the future, Garoppolo just simply isn't that. His time has passed. Could he, start somewhere? Yeah, sure, spot starter. But I don't think you bring him in to be like, yep, that's the guy that's going to take over for Matthew Stafford. I just don't see it. So I like Garoppolo. I like the idea of him as a backup. I don't like the idea of him as a starter. I think a lot of people forget how old he is. So for that reason, I'm out on that. But I definitely like him as a backup. Moving on, we have Zack Wilson, the 25-year-old quarterback, mobile quarterback, dual threat, a guy that has a 50-plus yard touchdown run in his arsenal, on the books, in his resume. Zack Wilson, just covering the Jets for the time that I did that short year, Zack Wilson is a better quarterback than giving credit. And by the way, it's not like Aaron Rodgers did any better win-wise than Zack Wilson. Obviously, he was better quarterback, no doubt about it, and had a better season. but it's not like the Jets, who went 7-10, got much further after they let Wilson go. The interesting thing here with Wilson is that it's not as simple as this is a young quarterback, it makes sense, whatever. There's some familiarity here. And so far, obviously things can change, but so far so good. The Rams offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, who was with the 49ers and was with the Jets as the offensive coordinator, the Rams offensive coordinator has actually worked with Zack Wilson. There is a familiarity factor there. And I know there were some articles that were written, plus, of course, it's the New York media, so, take what you will. There were some articles written about how Zack Wilson and Mike LaFleur did not see eye to eye. I think more so it was Elijah Moore and Mike LaFleur. The stuff that I read about that, the stuff that I heard about that, yeah, I think it was more so Elijah Moore. But Zack Wilson also had some articles out there where he and Mike LaFleur just butted heads. So with that said, I thought this was really interesting. I came across a report, I believe it was last year, and then I forgot about it, and I kind of rediscovered it. Albert Breer, who is well respected as an NFL reporter and insider, he had reported Mike LaFleur would be very open to a reunion back before he was traded last year. I understand what people are going to say, and I get it. They're going to say a lot of different things. Zack Wilson's trash. Zack Wilson has done nothing. Zack Wilson, if they wanted him last year and they were fine and he was very open to a reunion, then they would have just traded for him last year. But that's the thing. See, he wasn't a free agent last year. He was traded for and acquired by the Denver Broncos, and he stayed as the third quarterback all year long in kind of a mental break of a season, a reset, if you will. But Zack Wilson is a free agent now. And now he might not cost that much. I think you could get him for maybe 2 years, $4 million total. 2 years average annual the next 2 years, and then, see like kind of a prove it thing. Wilson can be your backup. Wilson also adds a dynamic that is not currently on this roster as a mobile, and obviously Stafford's mobile when he needs to be, but we're talking about a guy that can impact the game with his legs, and that is what Zack Wilson is. So I've been very high on Zack Wilson as a reclamation project. If you're, really sleeping on the Rams' ability to do this, that's fine, but I think Wilson makes a lot of sense. I like the option more than Jimmy Garoppolo, and to be honest with you, my gut is telling me that Zack Wilson will be, in fact, the backup quarterback behind Matthew Stafford next year. Now, do they draft a quarterback as well? Is he behind Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know, but I think Zack Wilson is going to be on this team next year. I just have this feeling, and obviously I could be wrong. I'm definitely kind of throwing something out there, but I could be wrong. I really like Zack Wilson. I like the fit. And I really think, you take some of these guys that, yeah, their career might be over. It looks like you put them with Sean McVay, you put them throwing a Puka Nacua, working with the guys that they have. And who knows, you might have something there. And I also want to point out that I think, just the kind of the recent development of guys like Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, these guys give me hope for guys like this. So that's what I'll say. Zack Wilson's going to be cheaper, whereas I think, people might look at Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I don't think is going to be cheaper. I think Daniel Jones is going to be on the higher end side of what you're looking for as a backup. Probably going to be $7-8 million. He made $40 million, keep in mind. So there's a chance that's still in play. Moving on, because I really like the Zack Wilson move. Moving on, we got Trey Lance. He's 24 years old. He's still so young. He's 3 years younger than Stetson Bennett. So if you're trying to call Trey Lance a bust and act like Stetson Bennett is this, up-and-coming thing, well, hate to break it to you, Trey Lance is still 3 years younger than Stetson Bennett. And while he's still so young, he only had 17 starts in college, and he topped that off with only 5 starts in the NFL. Trey Lance, I'm going to get blowback for, but look, I still believe in what I saw on his tape at North Dakota State, made NFL throws, NFL reads, went through his progressions, played in a, legitimate offense, had that mobility. I just think I chalk it up to this. I don't like the Cowboys' brain trust there. I don't at all. And I did not like this coaching staff at all without Dan Quinn. Not that that mattered to Trey Lance's abilities, but still. So Trey Lance never was developed by Kyle Shanahan. I think he did a piss poor job of it. I would tell him right to his face. I think he screwed Trey Lance. That's how I feel. They gave up multiple first-round picks to move up and take him, and I just don't feel like there was ever really a buy-in to what they traded up for. I think, to me, if I'm reading the tea leaves, this feels like more of a John Lynch move, and Kyle Shanahan, in all likelihood, with all the reports and everything that were out there, wanted Mac Jones. But I think that Trey Lance still has a level of play that you have to look at. The tools are there. Again, he's only 24 years old, and he's only started 5 games. And he started for the 49ers, who had at no point did they ever show the ability to give him the nod. They never felt like they were giving him the reins. They never felt like they were looking at him as the face of the franchise. They never gave him that chance. But in addition to that, the Cowboys game. He started the Cowboys game so Cooper Rush didn't hit an incentive. And they didn't want to pay Cooper Rush. So let's be honest here. Trey Lance hasn't been in the best spots. You can say what you will about Kyle Shanahan being a good coach. He's won playoff games. He's gone to 3 Super Bowls. Fine. You want to do that? Totally fine. I don't care. But what we're not going to do is sit here and act like Trey Lance is already figured out. We've already seen enough. The sample size is too high to even give this guy a chance. It's not. It's absolutely not. He's only had 5 starts in the NFL. He had the entire last season of his college career wiped away due to COVID. He only got 1 essentially tryout game. It was the first time he threw an interception in those 17 games that he played. Now, am I saying Trey Lance is going to be a guarantee for the backup? No. And my thing is, if you get Wilson, he has more experience. He started more. He's more likely to be a backup. If you get Trey Lance, I still think you got to bring back Jimmy Garoppolo. You have to have a legitimate backup. I don't think Trey Lance is a legitimate backup right now. I think he needs to be worked on from the ground up. I think there needs to be nurturing there. I think there has to be a development process. And I think there has to be a plan of attack. This is a guy that was very much neglected throughout his time in the NFL so far. So I think if Sean McVay was going to take on this reclamation project, it would have to be under the circumstance that this guy is going to be the 3rd quarterback. You kept a 3rd quarterback all year with Stetson Bennett. There's no reason why you couldn't do it here with Trey Lance. So that's how I feel about that. I think Trey Lance makes a lot of sense. But I also think Zack Wilson makes a lot of sense, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the perfect backup if you're not really worried about developing anybody right now. Mac Jones is next on this list, and he passes Daniel Jones, and I don't have Daniel Jones on this list because I think he's going to cost too much. Mac Jones showed some potential. Okay, he still had 8 picks this year, 8 touchdowns, but I think when you saw Trevor Lawrence go down for the season, I thought you saw some good stuff out of him. For the Jaguars. Keep in mind that is one of the worst teams in football, and he was still moving the chains. He was still fearless to throw down the field. Do I love Mac Jones? No. Do I prefer Trey Lance, Zack Wilson, and Garoppolo over him? Absolutely. But it's a Sean McVay thing, okay? People want to act like Sean McVay hasn't developed anybody, but he's been working with UDFAs in the past. He developed Jared Goff. You can say what you will. I don't think Goff ends up being what Goff is today without Sean McVay. I mean, if you saw that first year, that was not great. So with that said, I think Mac Jones could get the most out of him. But if you squeeze that orange, how much juice are you really getting? And that's really the question here. And I just don't think you're getting that much juice with Mac Jones. I think he'd be, kind of an intriguing piece. But I think if you're looking for a legitimate potential heir to the throne option, it's Zack Wilson or Trey Lance. And Zack Wilson allows you to just stick with him and let him back up. But if you go with Trey Lance, you'd probably want him as the 3rd guy and just start to really develop him, have him, build himself up throughout camp and, preseason, and then reevaluate. And if he makes the most sense as your backup, there you go. So that's how I feel about Mac Jones. Next on this list and last on this list, because I don't think Stetson Bennett's going to be on this team next year. I could be wrong. I just don't really see it. But Justin Fields. Fields is last on this list, even below Mac Jones, not because of priority. I love Justin Fields. I think Fields with Sean McVay would be awesome. But the reality is this. He's expected to get the most money out of everybody on this list, maybe only behind Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson. And this is somebody that I think, while he'll get the most money, I think he also wants to start. I mean, there's no way he is going to take $11, $12 million to be a backup. And I just don't really see him being in the plans for the Rams. I don't know if he fits their offense, just like I don't know if Trey Lance does. That'd have to be a development or anything. But Justin Fields is an interesting one because if they did this, then they would essentially have to tell him, look, you are a starter after, Stafford hangs it up. And that's just the reality of it. So I'm curious to see how they go about that. I don't think they go after Justin Fields, but I do think they could get one of these quarterbacks. My gut tells me it's Zack Wilson. That's just my gut. My gut's been wrong before, not always right, but I think Zack Wilson is definitely my gut. Now, if the Rams sign Jimmy Garoppolo, then to me, they're going to get Trey Lance if they go back into this pool. Zack Wilson doesn't make a lot of sense. But Trey Lance does. Trey Lance does not need to be thrown in the fire as the backup. Trey Lance needs a offseason to build himself back up from the ground. And I think Sean McVay can work on his mechanics, get him going, apply everything that he's learned in the preseason games, and go from there. That's how I see it. So priority is Zack Wilson. Trey Lance, he's still so young. I'm not giving up on him. So say what you will. I know a lot of people will, but I'm not going to be doing it. Curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below which quarterback you would take out of this list. To me, it's very simple. The Rams are in a situation where they either want to go all in and they're going to want a high floor, maybe lower ceiling backup, or they look at it as, well, yeah, okay, we might go all in. We still need a future after Stafford. And while that's likely to come through the draft, I would not put it past Sean McVay to find one of these guys, develop him, and end up making him the heir to the throne, whether that's a Zack Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, or Justin Fields. Either way, I don't think it's extremely likely for everybody outside of Lance and Fields because I think just the value makes sense, the mobility, all of that. But we're going to see. Let me know in the comments section below what you guys think, and be sure to check out today's sponsor, Via. The link is in the description below. 15% off your purchase using the code JKBogan. You guys take care. I'll see you soon. Later, folks. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.